From the Marquee Media Studio inside Mark Tank, it's the Mark Haney Show.
All right. Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show, and we are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. And today I am feeling grateful would be the word. It's going to be a great show, but we just got the update from my man Scott over here. Our construction projects are all lining up nicely, getting better one day at a time in so many areas of our lives here at the Growth Factory, here at Haney Biz, and then on the Mark Haney Show. We're getting better today. We get to share the story of winning. And to help us do that, we're talking about winning in entrepreneurship today with Kenny Blakeslee. Kenny is the president and CEO of Apex Site Solutions and Pulse Signal Solutions, and he's going to share his story. But in the way that he describes it, he's a guy that sort of drops these nuggets of wisdom, and one of them that he mentions in the show today is something he uses with his team in their culture, and it's get 1% better every day, which is it's a really strong way to think about our progression. Just get a little bit better each day. Next thing you know, you're pretty damn good. And I hope to all you guys out there that is happening for you. I'll share a little more on that at the end of the show. But anyway, stick around. Listen to the story of my friend, Kenny Blakeslee. All right. I have Kenny Blakeslee here with me today, and I can tell you, Kenny is really a stand-up guy. He's one of the most successful young entrepreneurs in the Sacramento region. He's building something called Apex Site Solutions, and I feel negligent because you've never come on the show before, Kenny, and you are here finally in the house. Welcome.
I know. I wanted to give you a hard time for sure. I've been listening to your show since day one, absolutely. And you were a mentor of mine way before we ever actually even met, and I got the opportunity to meet you. You've continued to mentor me in person since we've gotten to know each other better. But yeah, I definitely wanted to give you a hard time about it. It's been too long. I've been wanting to come on.
Yeah, I don't think I can say that I've helped you to the success that you've had. But we recently nominated you in the 40 under 40, I don't know if that's what it's called, the Business Journal, right? The most successful young people, the most driven people in the area. And it's because you're really scaling a company. So maybe if you don't mind, why don't we start to just give a little bit of history of how you got into entrepreneurship?
It's interesting. You talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship can mean a lot of different things. I think a lot of times it gets construed as someone doing a startup right now with tech and everything, right? With SaaS, that's entrepreneurship. And I do think that that's really true entrepreneurship. I think there's another version of it, which is more like a business operator, right? And I feel like that's almost the perspective because I kind of stumbled into it, right? So our business, Apex and Pulse Signal Solutions, we provide a wide array of services to the wireless telecommunications industry. So on one side of the house, we're basically a construction firm. We go out, we build the towers, we build the sites that make wireless work. On the Pulse side of the house, we're engineering, doing more of the technical services, troubleshooting, testing these systems, making sure that they function properly, right? So it's a little more technical, but that's a long way of getting back to, I started by working out in the field. I got out of the Navy. I went to the Navy straight out of high school, got out of the Navy, was going to go back down to San Diego because I loved it. I was going to go to school, but it was summertime when I got out. And so my dad said, hey, come to work for me. He had just started his company building towers. Come work for me for the summer, make some money, stay with me rent free. And then you can head down to San Diego with a little money in your pocket. And I said, sure, I'll do that. And let me tell you, when I first started, I swore I'd never climb a tower. I was scared of heights. I was absolutely not.
You were in the Navy. Don't they get you over your fear of heights when you're in the military?
No, it's not the Marines or the Army in the Navy, right? So it's a little more technical, a little less about the toughness element of it. I'll tell you what, in Navy boot camp, it's all about attention to detail, and it's about pushing you to kind of exhaustion and then making you still pay the utmost attention to detail. And I think, one of the biggest reasons is just because when you're on an aircraft carrier, there's a lot of dangers inherently that go with that, right? And so those were some of the biggest things that they taught you in Navy boot camp, not necessarily about getting over your fear or toughening you up as much as some of the other branches, right?
Okay,
So,
you're humble about that. Okay, so you get out and you're afraid of heights, but you begin to climb these. Like, how high is that? Is that like 100 feet, 200 feet?
you know, in California, it's different than across the nation, but you know, standard is about 60 to 100 feet, and then in California, you generally go up to about 300 feet. That's about the highest you'll go. There's a few bigger towers, but those are broadcast towers, and we don't mess with those all that often. So that was the heights. I swore I'd never climb, but I was digging trenches, and I got a little bored and said, "Well, give me that harness. Let me try it." I climbed up one time and was scared as could be, shaking, climbed back down, and pretty soon I just never gave up. Bottom line is, I never took off back to go to school. I said, you know what, I'm kind of enjoying this industry, and I think I could create some success for myself. And I just kind of worked my way up the chain of command. If you actually, in our industry, we say we were down, because we start by climbing towers and work your way down the tower, right? But I got to the point where I was a project manager for a company. We were subcontracting all of our work, and I couldn't find any good subcontractors. Nobody was doing good work, and I loved building myself by that point. And so at that point I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go get my contractor's license. You guys just start subbing work to me. At least you have one good contractor that'll do good work, will turn in closeout packages, get you paid. And then you got one person you can trust at least. Right. And so that's all it was. Hey, I'll go do this on my own. Let me get a couple people joining me. And my wife, to her credit, I came to her when she was 8 months pregnant and said, hey, I know I've got this job with all these great benefits. I think I want to ditch it, and let's start our own thing.
The most stressful time for a woman
when she's nesting, you know. And
gosh.
So to her credit, she backed it all the way, and so we started Apex Site Solutions in 2010, and I never intended to have a big business. It was literally just an opportunity to make money for ourselves and create some opportunity for ourselves, and kind of stumbled into it. A couple years into it, we were getting work, hiring a couple more people. Oh, we got too much work, hire a few more people. And pretty soon I looked up, I had 20 guys working for me, and how do I do this? And stumbled my way into it. And then I've stumbled my way along ever since, making mistake after mistake after mistake, but then learning from those mistakes, growing, improving, and just kind of chipping away at it 1% better every day. And then you look up 12 years later now, how that time passed, I don't know, but 12 years later, you look up and you go, wow, look at what we built. And then you've got a vision for the future that's even bigger, and you're excited about it, right?
Well, what's the company look like now in terms of size? You're way more than 20 employees.
Yeah, we're about 110 employees at this point now. So,
goodness.
So back to your point of, entrepreneurship, it can come in all shapes, forms, fashions. I kind of stumbled into it and then started to see myself as, oh, wait a second, I do own a business, have to run it like a business, have to get more entrepreneurial in my mindset, and really had to grow from there, right? So it can come in all shapes, forms, and fashions, and you could be like me and not know much, not have too much talent, but just kind of stumble your way through it and get to where you need to get to, right?
Well, you said stumble. So what's the biggest lesson you learned? Let's say the biggest lesson you learned the hard way, where you're like, that was a tough one.
Ooh, there's so many of them, but the biggest thing would be culture for me. Having people that are passionate about working for your business, that want to work for your business, that aren't just doing it because they need a job, but because they're passionate about your mission. When you have a great culture, you can overcome a lot of different problems. When you have a negative culture, you could have the best strategy, you could have the best plans, and nothing's going to go your way, because people are going to keep walking out the door. It's going to be a revolving door. Nobody's going to be bought in. So culture is the biggest thing. That I was a bad leader when I first started. I got some bad advice when I first started the company that led to me. We had a toxic culture at one point in time, and finally something clicked, and I realized we got to change the way we're going about this. And I can say now, I'm amazingly proud of the culture that we built and the team we have around us. And that, to me, is the game changer at this point. We, in the last few years, have grown immensely. And then our vision for the next decade is huge. And that's because we have the team and the culture that can get it done. What
led to the toxic culture? How did that happen to you?
Lack of gratitude, lack of appreciation for the team. The piece of advice I got when I first started was, and actually, I got to be, so when I get fired up, sometimes I'll go back into sailor mode, and so I got to watch my language. But the piece of advice I got was, hey, you're a business owner now. Whenever anything goes wrong, that's taking food out of your family's mouth. And you can't let people do that to you. You got it. And so then you start to look at everybody like the enemy, right? If something goes wrong, you're looking at them like they're doing you wrong, like they intended to do something wrong, like they're trying to hurt you or your family. And it starts to become us versus them, right? And so it was just really cracking the whip, not being understanding of people, and then there's some other components to go into it, but that's what led to that bad culture, the toxic culture, just no gratitude for the people we had around us and the hard work that they were doing and what they were helping us to accomplish, being very internally focused on me, and how does this affect me? Once that started to change, we got a lot of techniques for making the culture better. I learned a lot about that, but that's really what led to it in the first place, was not really appreciating the people that we had around us, and really interacting in that manner, right? Where it was more about what can they do for me versus what can I do for them as a leader.
Well, I have to imagine building that great culture, that doesn't happen overnight. And in this economy, there are still a shortage of great workers, and you have to create something that's different. And I think a culture in many cases can be a differentiator when it comes to attracting the right talent, and especially when you're in growth mode. How do you, any tips, any keys to building that culture that you could share?
Well, I can tell you what culture isn't, and that's what a lot of people think it is. Culture is not a ping pong table and kombucha tea and an open bar at the end of the day, right? For some people that leads itself or lends itself to the culture. If you want to intentionally go that route, that's fine. But people think I'm gonna add these amenities. I'm gonna have a dog walking around our office, and all of a sudden it's gonna lead to a better culture. And that's not it. I mean, culture starts with getting intentional. What do you want that culture to be? Because it could be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be really. You have to decide what culture is going to come from you, and what culture you need to drive the strategy that you're going to be working towards. For us, our success and our mission is focused on our people. And so that's the culture that we need, is a people-focused culture. So that's what we've gotten intentional about. So it starts with a mission. It starts with a why. What are we doing here? Why are we doing it? It's cool that we're building cell sites. That it's 5G, right? It's a buzzword. Everybody thinks it's exciting. There's a ton of opportunity there in that industry. It's the opportunity that I was able to take advantage of. So that's where we start to turn our focus, right? So like I said, it's cool doing what we do, but that's not why we do it. I like to say that with our company, if the wireless industry was to shut down tomorrow, we had to go paint houses. If we've got the right culture and the right people, shift gears. Who cares what we do? Focus on why we do it and the people we have around us doing it. And so to me, sometimes I get a little long-winded, Mark. So
it's good.
Sorry.
It's good. It's good. This is good stuff.
Once you get me going. So to me, it starts with getting intentional, deciding what you want that culture to be, and then forming a mission, a vision, and then core values around it. They're going to drive those. And then by living those things out, they're not just words on a wall. They don't just live on your website. That's what most people try to do. Oh, here's our mission. Here's our core values. They sit on the wall. Nobody ever talks about them, lives them, weaves them into the culture whatsoever. So it's really, it's driven initially from those things.
Yeah.
Right?
I always think of culture as like the culmination of the way the team thinks and acts, right? So it's really, almost like their philosophy, and then what they do with that. And so a culture, it's the total of all of that. But you mentioned, the why and the mission and that and the values. How do you go about establishing that? Because you start with, it's about me and my family, right? And then you begin to decide maybe it's more around building around a team. Did you come up with the mission statement and tell them what it was? Do you get a group together? I mean, what's the process look like?
I think it all depends on where you're at in your business.
Okay.
So we were 6 or 7 years in before I ever realized we've got a problem here. So that, slow learner, 6 or 7 years in before I realized we got a problem here, and this isn't the way we should be going about it. What got us here won't get us there. And luckily around that time is when I started to seek and find really great mentors. And so I had, one guy who I sat down, I would go to breakfast with once a month, and we talked a lot about growth and everything else, and it was the frustrations that we felt. And so he pointed out to me, he said, "Kenny, do you realize what you're doing for a lot of these guys? These are guys that join your company just looking for a job." They maybe don't know what they want to do with their future. They don't know what success actually looks like. They aren't confident they'll be able to build a family because they're not sure about, and then you give them a good paying job. You give them benefits. You give them a 401k so they can plan for retirement. You're building a career for these people, these guys and gals, that now they can start to be hopeful about the future. Now they can start to understand the opportunities that are presented, and they can go build success for themselves. That's pretty exciting. And that was when I was kind of in the trough of sorrow. I was beating my head against the wall. And I was frustrated, and it clicked. And I said, no, that is actually what's fun, right? Because I was in that trough of sorrow. I was saying to myself, I don't want to grow this company. It's just more headaches. And then, I got two very good mentors. One of them is a man named Larry Stiver, who lives here in the Sacramento area. Another guy's from Southern California, Brian Woodward. So I definitely want to give Larry Stiver a shout out on here. But the bottom line is I got two good mentors who were giving me great information, who reframed it for me. So all of a sudden I changed it from thinking about the problems to thinking about, oh, look at what we're doing. This is now exciting. So as you build a business, you're going to get punched in the mouth so many times. You're going to take so many lumps. And to this day, I still take lumps every single day. There's still some sort of little bad news or snippet that I get that I've got to wear. But the way you get through all that stuff is you have that burning passion for something. And so it became, let's look at the careers we're providing to people, right? So the passion started with me. We started getting that intentionally into the company, started getting people to start operating that way, thinking that way. I would ask them additional questions and say, challenge them. Hey, are we doing this to develop somebody? Or are we doing this because that's what we need, right? So when it came time where we said, hey, we need a mission, we need values, let's document it. The way that I went about it was, let's bring the team in. Because by that point, we had people who had been with us almost the entire life of the company. We had people that had been with us for a number of the years. So if I had just shown up to them and said, hey, here's our mission, here's our values, it wouldn't have been as effective, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm just going to go dictate. If you want buy-in, you got to get weigh-in. Weigh-in equals buy-in, right? So went to the team, and we actually spent a lot of time. We dedicated hours and hours and hours to getting it just right, to saying, the mission, wordsmithing that. We understood what it was basically. Let's give people career opportunities, but how do we say that? How do we articulate that so people coming in understand that exactly? So ours is actually a little bit wordier than I would like. It's to transform lives by providing growth and development opportunities that empower our people. But I'll tell you what, every single person in our company, even with a wordy mission like that, can tell you that is our company mission. I
love that. Your people are the mission, or part, is central in the mission. I love your weigh-in gets buy-in. I mean, I think, I'm making a mental note of that. That needs to become a Markism, because I love that. One of the things that we did, so I had a company that grew from 50 employees to 300 in like 5 years. We grew pretty fast, and culture was key. And I always tried to align the why as much as possible, listen to what the individual employee wants, what's his or her why, and how does it align with the company's why. And if you can find that alignment, it might be to buy a house or to become a millionaire, or maybe they want to open up their own site, so become a subcontractor. Who knows? But let's provide a progression for you to get what you want in life, because do a great job here, there's an avenue to become whoever you want if a company is scaling fast. And you guys are scaling, obviously, very rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that we talk about all the time. When I first sit down, because I still sit down with every new hire when they join the team, and I spend at least 15 minutes with them, getting to know them a little bit and trying to find out that why, because it is so important. Because if they have a reason, if they have a burning desire to get out, because listen, this job is not easy. You're climbing towers. We're out there in the rain, the sleet, the snow. The only thing that takes us off the tower is lightning, right? So it's miserable sometimes. But the opportunity that's there, right? Any job you go to, there's going to be lumps. It's not going to be easy when you first get there. You tough that out. The light at the end of the tunnel, the opportunity that you can create is so close in this industry compared to a lot of other ones. We got guys, I don't want to get into specifics, but we got guys making good money 2 years less. We got guys leading crews. We got guys becoming project managers. We got gals who are running technical equipment for us and making good money. We got people that are just creating these big careers so quickly. So back to the point, I go on sidebars, but back to the point, there's going to be some rough days to get through. And if you don't have a reason for getting through that, then you're not going to, you're going to quit, you're going to throw in the towel. Sometimes you got to pull it out of them. Sometimes they don't really know what it is, and you can help them form that vision for what success looks like. And so that's so important. But we do talk about it all the time. Look, we're building here. We're going to do something big, and the reason we're doing that is because our vision has to be big enough so that everybody else's vision for their future can fit inside of that bubble.
Right.
Right.
That's an amazing thing that I think a lot of people sort of forget about is. And I want to talk about this a little bit about like the CEO's biggest responsibilities. But when you're growing fast and people are trying to fit in where they fit into this puzzle, if it's not clear, then they're sort of left scratching their head. If they can sort of see themselves fitting in some way as part of the growth strategy, it's a lot more motivational. There's a lot more buy-in. One of the things you mentioned, your 15-minute meeting, one of the things I did when we were scaling fast is I met with employees on day 1, day 3, day 30, and day 60. And we hired in small groups because when you're growing that fast, you got to hire. You kind of batch them. Well, at least that's what we did. We hired people on Mondays, right? So all the people that started, you start on Mondays, and then I knew every Monday morning I got this meeting with a small group of people, and we tried to give them an orientation, but get over that 60-day period, I tried to get to the why myself so that I could help them see the alignment. And I see on your Instagram, so I follow you on Instagram and probably Facebook and stuff. And I see you in these company meetings and you are communicating with your team. And so to me, every time I see that, I'm inspired. I think back to my history a little bit and go, you know what? That is sort of reminiscent of what was really helpful for us. And I think that was my big breakthrough moment is when I got the courage to do that. Be a more vocal leader. Before that, I was a little more of the working from my office, but I see you in the trenches, and to me, it's inspiring, and it's got to be inspiring to your team. So with that said, what is your meeting? How often do you meet with your teammates? Do you have like a rhythm or a routine, or is it impromptu?
Well, as we're growing, I can't do it as much with every individual, obviously. Right? So with the new hires, absolutely. I get at least that very first meeting where I'm talking to them. Monday mornings are all about servant leadership for myself and our other leaders, where, we do our all hands meeting on Monday. I'm going to say my piece. Some other people speak.
All hands.
Yep.
Everybody in the company?
Everybody in the company.
You have people working outside of the region, though. How do you get them? Can you get them involved?
We're actually working on a communications plan for that. So no, they're not as involved. They get a video of it, but it's not two-way, right?
Yeah,
it's not two-way right now. So we've got some work, some plans in the works there.
Okay, so you have an all hands once a week, though.
Every single Monday morning where and this is one of the things that drives
we did it once a month. That's really good.
So we have our safety. It starts off with safety. It's one of our core values, and listen, in the industry we're in, we got to make sure that safety is top of mind to the tongue at all times, right? So safety, but then we it used to be me delivering a message about our mission, about our core values, trying to impart some wisdom. And then we realized, hang on a second, let's get some of these other people to have something to say. So we've got people, guys and gals that 2 weeks after being here, coming up there, getting in front of all 100 plus people and saying their piece about it, saying what the values mean to them, how they've seen them live, how they've touched their own lives. That starts to spread that culture, right? And then and then not just that, but when we find out somebody doesn't really like public speaking, well, hey, guess what? Pretty soon you're going to be getting up there. We're going to make you get up there, right? We're going to push you outside of your comfort zone. That's worse
than for a lot of people. They climb in a tower, it's like it's
But they're
tough.
doing it in a safe spot, right? They're doing it in a safe zone, and everybody cheers them on and roots for them, and they start to see that and understand that. So we like pushing people outside their comfort zone, but so. Monday mornings, interaction, servant leadership. When they first start the team, like I said, at least 15 minutes sitting down. And then 90 days in, we do a group meeting and we find out how that experience has been for the first 90 days. I'm in that meeting. I'm talking some more to them about what they've seen, what's going on and everything else. Then after that, there are the Monday mornings where I'm interacting, I'm asking questions, seeing how things went. But now it's up to my leadership team. And as we've grown, now it becomes more up to them and they need to see. And it's one of the things I talk about with them all the time, which is you guys do one-to-ones with the people that are important to you, but you think that that's just a job checking. Hey, where are you at on this? Do you finish this task? Is this project done? That's not what a one-to-one is. A one-to-one is where that's their story time. That's hey, tell me how you're doing. What's going on with you? You tell me how I can get obstacles out of your way. What are you running into that's a problem, including it in your personal life? A lot of companies like to say, leave your personal life at home. And hey, come on now, that's BS. It's impossible to do that, right? So we actually want to know if you got something going on so we can help you work through it. We want to be that foundation, that rock that you can build on. That's what gets us excited. That's what we want everybody to do. So anyway, back to that point that now we got to work through other leaders, and we got to make sure that the things that I believe and the things that I've seen work are now being implemented and utilized by our leaders. And that's just a part of our development, right? So the whole reason we're trying to grow this company, the whole reason we have this big vision for the future is to create the opportunity, like we said in our mission. And we can only do that because we don't have people retiring. We got a fairly young demographic. We don't have people retiring or quitting or anything. So they can't just climb the ladder in the old fashioned way. We've got to grow as a company so that they can now, we need more foremen. So now we need more project managers. Now we need more market managers. Now we need more, marketing people. And so that's where we're growing. So what I stress them when they first join the team, back to your point of how do I fit in, I stress to them that this growth isn't happening because I want to run a huge company. It's happening because we want to create opportunity for everybody. And it doesn't happen by us, opening an office somewhere just arbitrarily. It happens with this groundswell of people coming into the team that are pushing all the people that have been there longer than them upwards. And by the way, everybody understands that their success is created by giving success to other people, making other people earn that success. But they all start to raise each other up. They all start to build each other up until it's undeniable. It's like a volcano erupting. We've got to grow. Now we need to open another office. See, I've got a project manager who's knocking at the ceiling going, I want more. Oh, you want more? Okay, well, here's some more opportunity. We need to go open an office in Southern California. Are you ready for that? What do you need? What can we do to help you be ready for that? And so, that's how you start to propagate that. And that's our vision for the future. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to get better at. Hey, I'm sitting here talking like I know what I'm talking about.
Look, we're
stumbling our way through it. We're figuring it out.
The best way to learn is, that's the thing. There's so many people that can pontificate from the, it could be higher education or, there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks in there. Best way to learn is getting in the game, rolling up your sleeves. And that now it's ingrained in you what works, what doesn't work. One of the things that I might offer to you is you mentioned the word opportunity, I think 3 or 4 times. You also mentioned that your mission statement, or maybe it was your purpose statement, is more wordy than what you like. One thing you might think about is a mantra. Mine is opportunity through commitment, right? So I'm an opportunity guy too, and that drive. If I can help somebody create opportunity, that's super rewarding for me. But it's based upon commitment. It's not based upon talent. It's not based upon how long you've been here necessarily. It's commitment, and that shows up in different ways. And it may be something where your team gets together and figures out how you might want to shorten that message. Keep your mission statement, but if we were to condense it, what could it be? Something that way it's people are using the mantra around the office. Just an idea.
Absolutely. Well, you said, how did you come up with your core values? And it was like I said, we get the team together and we go, hey, who is our prototype that if everybody else looked exactly like this, acted exactly like this, we would be a company full of rock stars. And we got that prototype and said, hey, these are the traits. Oh. And then, which ones are true to our company, which ones aren't, which ones are a little bit aspirational. Now let's get those. And we worked them into long form definitions of the core value, but then we also got them into their little tagline. Nice. Right? So developing being one of the core values, that's 1% better every day. And that's something we say all the time. Right. And so, those are safety obsessed, right? That's another core value. So, yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I agree that, as we tried to wordsmith those, sometimes they get you start to round the edges because you're trying to wordsmith it so perfectly. It's like no, I need it to elicit a little bit of emotion. We're trying to say it just right. I'm trying to say it so that it sticks in someone's heart and they know how to behave. They actually live these core values. They make a decision tomorrow. They can tie it back to you said that I need to be celebrating. You said celebration is one of our core values. So I was calling out one of my teammates, telling them great job, and they need to be able to really, it needs to stir emotion if it's going to be effective.
Do you have a personal mission statement?
I personally do not.
You do? Actually, I wrote, after I sold my companies, I wrote a personal mission statement for myself, and it's been extremely helpful in guiding my decision-making throughout the last 10 years or so. I've stumbled a lot myself, I'm not going to lie, but at least I know the direction, why I'm doing it, the direction I'm going. So that personal mission statement for me was, it's tattooed to my soul. And it guides, I think I'll probably have it for the rest of my life because that's the way I think is.
Well, let me ask you this. When you did it, did you work with Stacy to come up with that personal mission statement? Was it
Heck
just
no.
you?
That's me. It's personal mission statement, dude.
Yeah,
I have to
okay.
go check with my wife about my own personal mission. Maybe you do.
Absolutely.
I'm just
Hey,
playing.
we all know who runs Apex for real. But
I didn't. When I sold my company, she was still working at the time, and so first thing I did was I invested into this the most remarkable piece of office equipment known to man, the dry erase board. And I pulled that out, and I just started marketing it up with all the things that I cared about, that thought I was good at, strengths, weaknesses, all opportunities, and then I formed it from that. So for me, maybe I should have included her, but it really reflects who I am.
Well, I guess the reason I asked was because the reason I don't necessarily right now have a personal mission statement is because it's so ingrained in the company mission statement.
Yeah.
Like that's what really drove it. That's what gets me excited these days. We want to build this company so we can build more opportunity for more people. And that's the stuff that, sidebar, I always do this, but you're putting in a lot of hours. You're taking on stress. Sometimes you are distracted. And so when you're around your kids, right, who they just want the attention of dad, they want to know that you're there. So sometimes it's important to communicate to them, hey, listen, this is what I've got on my mind right now. Like it helps you to talk it out, but it's also helpful for them to know, not just, hey, look, I'll leave work at work, but yeah, I'm a little bit distracted and I'm sitting at the dinner table thinking about something else. No. Let me talk it out with them. And that helps engage them. And it helps to entrepreneurship, the grind of it and everything else. It helps to bring them into it so that they don't feel left out or left behind. So those are the things that I talk to my kids about. Hey, the reason that we're doing the stuff we're doing, sometimes the reason I got to hit the road a little bit, sometimes the reason that I got to put in these long hours is because look at the opportunities that we're creating for our people. We're building a team full of rock stars who get to build families like ours. And how amazing is that, right? So anyways, my personal mission statement is so ingrained in the companies, but I have been putting a lot of thought into, hey, what about our family mission statement and core values? We actually need to spend a little more time on that. The kids are getting old enough where they need to know those things, and it needs to not just be, hey, here's the way dad thinks, so this is the way it is. No, this is what we're all about. This is a Blakeslee is this. A Blakeslee means this, right? And so that's why I was asking that question.
Yeah, well, Jack Crawford, I don't know if you know him or not. He's Impact Venture Capital, good buddy of mine. He's very into these kind of things for his family. So they have family values and mission statement and that kind of thing. And I would like to do that with my family. I got to get everybody. We're now building a family compound, as you know. So hopefully I can get everybody to at least. I want everybody not to kill each other on the family compound. So we probably need to develop that. Yeah, exactly. We actually have these rules that ends with having fun, but it's a lot about safety on all motorsports and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So. But anyway, I think that kind of stuff can be extremely valuable. And with the age of your kids, they're what, 10, 12?
9 and 12. Yeah.
9 and 12. That's a pretty impressionable age. And I could see it being good timing. I probably should have considered something like that. It didn't cross my mind when I was, doing stuff with my companies. But one of the things that I wonder is people are conflicted, and this is an interesting question, or I've wrestled with this over time. So we had built our companies up to a pretty substantial 30 million or so, and my kids were in sports. They were that 10, 12, and we had got successful enough where I could take the pedal off the metal, and and we kind of, I would say, almost like coasted. We were over the hump, if you will, and went through bad times, and we're coasting a little bit. So that I really put a lot more time into my kids and a little bit less time into my business. And then when the kids got to a certain age, they were, trying to reach away a little bit, which is good. Then that's when we grew. And so I wonder, like, how do you decide, how hard to press it at work versus, look, I can afford to pay myself good money to not even come into the office, right? So how do you decide that?
I think it's always a battle. I think you're always asking yourself the question. I think you're always, look, when I leave work every day, I ask myself, Could I have done more? When I leave home every day, could I have done more with the family? You're always questioning yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the answer to that. The one thing I'll say, because hey, guess what? I constantly question: Am I working hard enough for the business to push it forward as fast as it should? And then was I present enough with my kids? Should I have missed that little event there? And I don't miss much, but so always questioning. But the thing that I think about a lot is work-life harmony versus work-life balance. So drawing the lines in the sand and saying like, look, when we're at the dinner table at night, and granted, sports is actually the kids' sports is what's messing that up now. It's not me being at work. It's we got football, we got soccer, we got baseball. We're all over the place. But when we're at the dinner table, my phone is not with me. It's sitting over there. I'm not touching it. Right? We are sitting there and we are talking as a family, and I am fully present. So rather than being home for 6 hours half distracted, I'll be home for 2 to 3 hours before bed, fully engaged in what we're doing instead of thinking about the business, right? So that's the one way that I try to focus on it. I try to make it a priority to be at sports. And when I'm at sports, I'm there. I'm not on my phone. I'm not, screwing around. I'm not getting stuff done. I'm engaged in what's going on there. And then that way it doesn't take quite as many hours, because they don't necessarily want you around. They want your attention. And so it's not that you have to be around constantly. And luckily, so Brooke was, my wife was critical in getting the business started and was there for a long time. And we were able to intentionally phase her out of the business over time now, so that she stays at home with the boys. And so I don't have to be there for doctor's appointments and things like that as much. But when I am there in the evenings, when I am there taking them to their sports, then I am fully present. And actually, here's one thing for you. So I think I'm wearing the hat actually. But my kid plays for a travel baseball team here local called Best Speed, and the compound's about half an hour from home. And at first I was looking at it going, that's an hour every day, because we're there a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's an hour every day that I'm going to be driving and not working, getting stuff done. And then I pretty quickly I realized that's a half an hour each way that I've got him pinned in the truck with me, and he can't be looking at his iPad. He can't be thinking about something. I've got him, and he's going to talk to me whether he likes it or not. And so engaging him there. And by the way, he also gets it, because a lot of times at the end of the workday, he'll get to hear some of those phone calls that I'm having at the end of the day, where I'm getting a recap from somebody. We're talking through some problems. And so he gets to hear the way that I think about things and some of the discussions, and what the people that are doing a great job, what we're praising them for, the people that are messing up, the things that we're talking about. And I've actually had him call me out on core values a time or two, where I'll get a little hot and I'll say, hey, draw the line in the sand. They got to go. They're messing up. And then my kid will say, hang on a second. Were you holding him accountable? Did you have the conversation with him? I mean, obviously he says a little more in a little kid fashion, but he'll call me out on core values because he's hearing that stuff. He's taking it in through osmosis. So that's pretty cool. And you just got to make sure that you're present, and be prepared that you're always going to be questioning yourself on whether or not you're doing the right thing.
I mean, when you said dinner table, you kind of had me at that, because my Ronald Reagan quote over there is, all great change in America begins at the dinner table. And so many times people, they're talking negative about our educational system and, all this other stuff. And it's like, how much time do you spend at the dinner table with your kid, or giving them full attention? Because we're the biggest effect on our children and who they become, much more than I think, some teacher. Even though, there's a lot of room for improvement, but as parents, we can affect that in such a dramatic way.
Agreed.
Anyway.
And behaviors are caught, not taught most of the time, right? So you can say you talk to your blue in the face. They're going to mimic more about what they see you doing, how they see you behaving, than they are by the little pep talks you give them.
Wow. And caught, not taught. I love that, man.
Hey, I listen to a lot of podcasts, yours included. I was going to talk. There was something earlier. Personal mission statement. Once again, a way that you've been a mentor to me without even knowing it. I'm pretty sure I listened to the Jack Crawford episode with you, and I got some of the ideas, including, I think he's the person that was talking about listening to like YouTube Evan Carmichael videos when he's in the car with his child.
Yes.
And then that's what they listen to. So I do the same thing.
He's trying to leverage every ounce of time, even if it's work, to have an effect on the mission right at home. So
hey, another way that, this show, it's making an impact. It's touched me in a big way ever since you started it. And so, I appreciate it, because people listen to stuff, they take it in whether you know it or not.
Well, okay. So here's kind of an interest. I got a couple more questions, and how do you decide? So the opportunity is vast. You guys are working on in an industry that obviously there's a ton of opportunity out there. Would you agree? Right?
Absolutely.
There's a 5G rollout. There's so much opportunity out there. Fair statement?
The forecast for the next decade is immense.
Yeah, it's just out there. So how do you decide how big that vision should be and how fast to grow? Because a lot of people, they dream about getting to 10 employees. You've got 110. How big's the vision, and how do you come up with that in terms of speed of how soon you're going to get there?
I would say that's a funny question for me, because in 2020, I read a book called The Vision Script by Michael Hyatt, I believe. And it's about creating your vision.
Vision Scraped?
The vision. No. I'm sorry. It's Vision Driven Leader. And it's about coming up with a vision script.
Oh, vision script.
So you basically write the script. Mine ended up being 4 pages where you describe a future state of your business and your life and what you want that to look like. And so I utilized that. And so I really just said to myself, if we're going to do what we want to do, which is provide the opportunity that all of these folks within our company could get to the biggest goal that they could possibly have, we're going to be that type of organization that allows them to, oh, you don't like climbing towers? Well, maybe you're into this creative side of things, or maybe you're into this technical side of things. Maybe you're more of a numbers person. You can move all over this organization and build a future for yourself that's better than you ever thought possible. What does that company have to look like in the year 2030? And so that's the way I laid it down and did it. Now, I think mission, values, vision. Vision is the one that probably is the most, it's definitely the most flexible. I think people would argue, how flexible should your vision be? You don't want to set a big goal and then just slowly start rolling it backwards because I guess I'm not going to accomplish that. So maybe let's make some excuses. But I do think that you have to be cognizant of the opportunity that's there. How big is that opportunity? What do I actually want my life to look like? And so, you know what? I think that really sums it up. And that's what, when I go talk to high school kids, when I talk to our new hires, when I talk to our entire team at all times, the biggest message I get across is, don't let me tell you what success looks like. You need to create a vision for what success looks like. The people coming out of high school, they're told, hey, go to college, you're going to be a loser. That's BS. There's so many other opportunities out there, but you have to decide, what does success look like to me out there in the future? Do I want a huge company? Do I want a small company? Do I want to impact 1,000 people, or do I want to impact 100 people just right here in my own hometown? What does it look like to me? And then how do I go chase that? Right. Well, and so I think that it's important to not get caught up in, and if there's anything that's ever steered me wrong from you, Mark, it's that I never even thought about exiting a company until I started kind of listening to your show, right? And then for a while, all of a sudden I was thinking, okay, well, you got to build a business for an exit. And then I realized, hang on a second, hang on. And it was actually when I was sitting down talking to you a different time that I said, wait a second, I'm not chasing an exit. I'm chasing a future for this business where maybe it gets handed down to the next generation or whatever. And that's a form of an exit. So, but I'm not building this like a startup builds it, where I'm going to go get funding and then, and have other equity holders and then try to flip it in 7 years, or, like venture capital does, things like that. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to build a business where I've got succession planning. I've got people coming up who have earned the right to take those reins. They can do it effectively, and they can just continue to propagate the mission, right? So I don't even remember if I answered the question.
Well, okay, so you have 110 employees. To have a company that has these opportunities for the creatives and the tower climbers, you need 500 employees? You need 1,000? What is it?
We're looking at 800 plus by 2030. So
800 by 2030. Okay. Then you can do math around that and how you.
So that's the biggest thing, right? You look out 10 years and go, where is a reasonable place for us to get to? What do we want that future to look like? And you have to determine. And the way that I did it in 4 different areas. There's, what does the business look like? What does your life look like? What does the sales and marketing necessarily look like? All that stuff. But you look out to that goal, that was 10 years away at that point. We're now 2 years into it. And then you reverse engineer, how are we going to get there? So, okay, for that to be true, what must be true at 7 years? What must be true at 5 years? What must be true at 3 years? Right. All right, there's our goal setting. That's what we got to go tackle. And then if you fall behind, well, we better find a way to make it up. Or maybe we slice it a slightly different way and look at it a little bit different way. And I'll tell you this much: when I was warned a long time ago, when you pass over 100 employees, things start to break, right? And so we took off and went sprinting once I set those goals, and then we got to 100 people, and some of of the things, the ways that we've always done things, we started to kind of break things, right? We were like a used car that we got on the freeway and just started. We put the pedal to the metal, and then, a little tire hubcap flew off, and we were, you know what I mean? So we're like, oh, wait, hang on a second. Let's pull over. Let's tune this thing up, and then let's get going again. So we've had to do that. We took off to go sprint towards that vision of 2030. Realize, oh, wait a second. There's some processes that we're doing that are going to break if we do that. There's some other things. So there's so many little things you encounter that you think, all right, with 10 people, this is awesome. Let's just go do this with 200 people. That's easy enough, right? It's not. And there's a lot of trials and tribulations that go into it. There's a lot of learnings. There's plenty of things that people would run into that I couldn't even tell them about yet, because I haven't ran into it yet. Because I guarantee you, the rest of the between now and 2030, between now and 2040, we're going to continue to hit road bumps. We're going to continue to get punched in the mouth, and it's not going to be easy. But guess what? We're just going to outlast the temporary. We're going to keep pushing on it. We're going to just be so damn stubborn that sooner or later we look up and we go, well, look at what we've built. This is pretty impressive. Kudos, everyone.
Well, people are having trouble hiring good people. How are you finding your talent?
Well, plug Allegiant. We're working with your son Marcus, and they've really ramped up the pace at which we're able to find people and get people in the door. It's tough. I would say that if there's one reason that I'm on social media and trying to propagate the message that we have, it's because it is a way to attract talent. We want people to know what we stand for, what we're about, that this opportunity even exists, because there's lots of people that don't know this opportunity even exists. So we're looking for, a lot of times, those people that are out there kind of questioning, what am I going to do with my life? What do college isn't my thing. And this stuff I'm doing isn't my thing. What do I want to do? And we want to go, hey, look over here. This is a possibility. I don't want to tell you what to see. I don't want to tell you that this is your future, but I can tell you where to look. And if you like what you see, well, then come on and join the team. And so we're pulling out of the stops, is the way that I'll tell you. We were having trouble hiring before having trouble hiring was cool. You know what I mean? Everybody's got it right now. Oh, we can't find people. The great resignation, all that. We've been saying for 2.5 years, it's tough to find people because it is the line of work. It's not easy. You're traveling a lot. You're climbing towers. You can't be scared of heights. You got to be tough, because you're going to be out in the elements and everything else. So it's always been a little bit of a battle to find the right people that stick. But when they do, they're real studs, and we want to build around them, and we want to help them build a future. So Marcus is a great example and Allegiant of sourcing folks for us. We give them the type of people we're looking for, the core values we're looking to hire to, and they're helping people get in the door. Matter of fact, our pace has picked up rapidly since we started working with them. And bottom line is, you got to get creative. We'll go anywhere to try to find the right people and to get the right people on the team and get them to stick.
Okay, so last question, just if you don't mind, maybe just words of wisdom to the guy that's thinking, gosh, this guy is, I see myself in Kenny, and just a good, humble person that just had all this success, and he's still climbing hard and fast. Any words of wisdom to that person, that younger version of you that might be out there today?
Yeah, brace yourself, probably more than anything. I think if I knew the trials and tribulations that were going to come, I wonder if I would have attacked it the way that I did, or I would have been so stubborn in chasing it. I'm glad that I probably didn't know how painful it was going to be sometimes, right? So maybe this isn't good words of advice. I'm talking them out of it right now. But I just want to say it's worth it when you get to the end of that road, right? So where I'm at right now, and trust me, I'm nowhere right now. I mean, we've done okay, but we've got a much bigger vision in front of us. We got a hell of a lot more to do, and we haven't done nearly as much as a lot of other people out there have. Even people in our region, people like you and others like me. I've got competitors who are actually my friends who have done bigger things than us so far. So we've got a long way to go. So I wouldn't call myself a success by any means, but I will say, if you just keep pounding 1% better every day, if you just outlast the temporary, if you just keep grinding, if you just keep going for it, you'll look up 5 years from now, 7 years, 10 years from now, you'll look back and go, holy moly, how did I end up here where I'm at? There's been certain milestones that we've hit when we bought our first building, we bought our second building. And me, I'm just kind of, hey, let's get moved in. And some of the guys had to pull me aside and go, hey man, this is pretty cool, right? And I said, well, Yeah, all right, let's take a second. Let's talk about this. It's a pretty cool milestone. Absolutely. Let's give each other some hugs. But by the way, get back at it. Nobody cares. Work harder. We got more work to do. You know what I mean? But
work harder. I seen that shirt out there now.
It's great. Yeah, I think it's a Cam Hanes shirt. But I think the bottom line is you're gonna take your lumps. You just got to keep pushing through. You got to outlast the temper. You got to have a tough mind, because it will be worth it. It will be. I guarantee it, especially when you have the right reason for doing it.
It is worth it. 1% better every day. I love that. Kenny Blakeslee, appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your story. It's one that I think we can all relate to at some level, because you're just a regular guy that turned it into a great entrepreneurial opportunity. And you saw opportunity maybe where the average person didn't, but maybe should. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate it.
You bet. Welcome back to the Mark Haney Show. And as I mentioned earlier, I am feeling grateful. Things are lining up in my life. And I think that's what you get when you just keep battling, right? Good things begin to happen. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than what would like. But as Kenny mentioned on the show, if we get 1% better every day, that's the right attitude to have, because there's so many days when maybe you as well, have sort of felt like, I'm not progressing. But, one of my mantras is as many as you can do correctly, as fast as you can do it correctly. So there's ways to get from point A to point B. And there are good ways to do it where you're kind of skipping through things and maybe over hurrying. And then there are ways when you are doing it as fast as you can correctly. And even if it doesn't feel like you're progressing, if you're working on it correctly, you are actually progressing. And I don't know if it's 1%, but it is an approach that I think can be effective. It's certainly a lot better than quitting or doing it half-ass. So again, love what Kenny shared. So many wisdom moments on the show today. But, for me, 1% every day improvement, that resonated with me really well. And I hope it resonates with you. So to all you out there that are trying to get a little bit better in entrepreneurship every day, you are fighting the good fight for entrepreneurship. And all you guys that are fighting the good fight for our freedom, our security, and our way of life, I salute you. And here at Haney Biz, we are never above you. We are never below you. We are always by your side.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.